Family meeting. I'm looking about to see, Dutch, would you be able to do a prayer for us next week? Has Carolyn written a prayer that you could read? We can put the mic down, or you can come up the step. Dave built new steps for us, which makes a huge difference. Well done. All right.
Let's pray. Father, for our meeting, we ask your blessing and your guidance. We're trying to do the right thing. There have been so many open prayers that are solved prayers that you've given us. We've asked for things and you've opened the door for us, and we thank you so much for that. We thank you for the nature of Patrick's lessons, that they come from his heart and that they come from you. And we just thank you for the blessing of this place, Safe Harbor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. You bet. We have some thank yous that we really need to do, and we have to thank Greg and Mary for letting us have this place. For those who are late tuning into the show and don't know, I was shocked and surprised by being let go at a church. And on day one, several of these people that are part of the local team called me, encouraged me, and I was already on the schedule to do Greg and Mary's wedding. And he called and said, listen, you can live at our house. I don't know if Mary, if you knew he was doing that or not. I was going, I'm not sure I will, but he was opening up everything. And then he had me come here and showed me this and said, why don't you try to do a church from here, since so many people have already watched me online over the years. And I was the doubter. I think everybody else believed, but I was the doubter. And they still every week, and you don't know how many times we come into their house, because this doesn't have an entrance a ways. We walk right through their living room and kitchen to do practice, to Dave to do AV and such. And it's just, thank you so much. This is not a board meeting. This is a family meeting. We're not doing Robert's Rules of Orders. We're not going through all of that. Instead, this is just, here's where we are, and we're hoping that you stay with us. All right, we'll try to move it along. Our board now has, as you know, new officers. Joining other officers, joining Ron and Dave and Brett. We brought on Jean-Ann Stewart as our secretary, and we also brought on Mary Alice Espinoza as a board member and Eric Hansen as a board member. So we're thrilled to have them. They're here in the room. Eric did the giving devotional. Mary Alice and Jaime do a lot of our communion devotionals. You'll see them up here for that. So we're just thrilled. And they bring some legal expertise and business expertise. Eric has been running a business, and he knows that side of things. Mary Alice is a paralegal. Am I correct when I say that? Okay. And Jean-Ann Stewart is an attorney. And so they help us keep that side of our work pristine, is a word I like to use. We also brought on Eric because he doesn't attend here except online. We wanted somebody on the board that only sees this at a distance. Now, since he's come to visit us a few times, and he and Trish is recovering, and we wish she could be with us. She had emergency appendectomy, and there were issues after, but she's home, and we miss Trish. But Eric he can tell us what it feels like to be somebody who doesn't know the rest of this area, who only knows the sound stage. And more about that later. The purpose of the meeting is very simple. We had our full intention to give you information and share questions on a regular basis, to be more formal about it. And so we wanted a formal meeting. Also, as we've said from day one, we want to be transparent, we want to be inclusive, we want to be proactive, get ahead of any issues. We want to crowdsource the wisdom that's out there and here in the room. We want to talk about our audience growth, about our volunteers, our ideas, and yes, about our finances. And I'm going to bring Misha up here in just a minute, but I'm going to do my part now. Each of the employees and some of the board members have things to share. When it comes to my work, what you need to know is what I do. I create the content, those sermons. These are not sermons that have been preached other places. Since we've been doing this, there have been 2 that I've preached elsewhere that I've preached here, and I've let you know. They're being crafted for this new church and a new time where we found ourselves. I'm also doing the Monday morning messages, which are by far our most popular recording that we post. I found that those are being used in dozens of churches of different tribes, and some of them are asking me to come up and speak for them, and I'll get to that in a bit. The Wednesday, the midweek Bible class is the least viewed, at least on YouTube. Our other counters are not really great counters, so we're not sure how many go there. Like WhatsApp doesn't tell us anything. Our safeharbor.com, we can't tell if that's tripping counters. But still, a solid 280 to 400 in that range tune in. Plus, we know that those are being also used at least a dozen churches that I know of, because people have lost their ministers. So they've lost, churches are closing, so they're bringing in videos for that. So those are my 3 that you see. What you don't see is, of course, working with the staff, crafting worship services, although Misha has, I would argue, more to do with that than me. I also am answering emails and text. Every week, at least 100 or so have questions. Some of them are pouring out personal problems. They don't have a minister, so I'm on the phone with them. We're texting, we're doing email. Some of them are religious questions. Some of them are questions about our time. So you end up being a pastor worldwide. And as my wife will tell you, when you have a worldwide church, you're never closed. So it's a 24/7 thing. I don't take a day off during the week, but I do take days off. I'll explain. I don't mind working every day for 3 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever. But there might be a time that I'll take half a day off and go golfing with my buddy Doug Buttry. Or there might be a time where I'll take the day to go take care of my mother. But I like work, and I can't relax if there's work to be done. So even when we go on vacation, I'm working, and I like that. So don't feel bad about that. One of the other things I do is try to make sure we plug the holes. This is what I really want to stress, and I may stress it again later. We have a very thin line. What happens, and we did a survey just on a newsletter. When I'm gone, do you want to hear different ministers? And every single person that wrote in said, that would be nice, and we know you need a rest, but no. So I'm going to try to record a bunch of these, and Dave will help me do that, so that you can have those in the can in case I get sick, in case I get trapped away somewhere, in case I'm somewhere where I cannot record. We're going to do our best. But what happens when Patrick goes down? Well, that's a problem. What happens if Misha gets sick? That's a bigger problem, because she is harnessing all of the different musicians and the music. You can find another minister like this right now. You can call and they'd be happy to come, or you could show a video. But when it comes to music, it's a whole different thing. And so I'll let her talk about that. It's the same with Kirsten, our creative director. She does so much that if she's not able to, we're in trouble. So if she wants to have a vacation, some people, if she wants to have a vacation, what you don't see behind the scenes is that our workload doubles, and that's not, she knows it's fine, because it doubles on her sometimes, because we have to get it ready for her absence to go out. And so this thin line, Dave on our AV, and also does our books for us. Goodness sake, if he or Gail or Craig aren't here, we're not going to be online. And so we need to find a way to build a bench, a deeper bench, so that what we're doing is not dependent so much upon these personalities, but rather we have people who can step up. All right? So we're doing all that sort of thing. And then during the weeks, I also, if I'm able to, I go and visit these people that have asked me to come. In Spokane, Washington in July, I'll be there about a week visiting 3 house churches and 2 brick and mortar churches, all of which are connected now with us. Originally, the intent was for me to do that all the time, but petrol prices have doubled. That's what you call gas. Hotels have gone up about 50%. It is something I worry about, draining resources to do this. So we're thinking about how do we do this? This original dream of me getting to visit these house churches, because we know some of you feel isolated. We also want to see if we can connect you with other RC people in your area, but only with your permission. We never, never, never share anybody's name, email, or phone number without their express permission. So we're trying to figure out all that, and I'm done. That's all I do. Basically, other than that, I just sit around, eat bonbons, and watch soap operas. So I'm going to hand it over to Misha. Oh.
Hold up, just a second. I'm next.
Are you?
Yep.
Oh, it says to hand Dave the mic. This isn't scripture. I won't have to.
Hope everybody's doing well. Everybody get enough to eat? Yes. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through what we're going to do as far as an agenda. So Misha will be next, and then Kirsten is going to be after Misha. And again, Misha is going to talk about the things that she does, and then Kirsten is going to walk through the things that she does. Then Greg's going to come up and talk to us for a few minutes about the sound stage, how things are going, comments that he's got regarding that. Then I get to get up and talk about financial and a technical update. Exciting. And then Ron will close us out after that. So, Misha?
I'm used to holding a mic. Well, I don't have anything super organized to tell you. I sat down numerous times, made drafts, and tried to make it official, and God said, no, don't do that. And so went to bed last night, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be just kind of speaking from my heart today. Been on this journey since day one with these wonderful people, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am to be a part of this, and that you guys have welcomed me and embraced me and supported what's happening here. It was a huge and wonderful surprise that God put me here. So my background, basically, for those of you who don't really know me, I taught secondary education, Spanish and English for 11 years. I have a background in, of course, entertainment, including television, and I've been in sales as well for many, many years. And when we had the shutdown, I, at the time, was working for the Nashville Symphony, and the sales team didn't have anything to sell. And so when Patrick, just so happened that, things happened the way they happened with Patrick's job at 4th Avenue, it was immediate. It was, yes, I want to work with you. I want to help you, Patrick. I want to support you. What can I do? So what did we do? We started with 2 stools, him on the guitar, me. What are we going to sing this week? Let's pull it out. Let's pull out stuff we've done before, because, Patrick and I have played together and sung together for many years. But it wasn't hard to say, yes, I want to work with this wonderful body of people and reach people worldwide who need and want to continue worshiping the Lord in an organized fashion, since they couldn't do it in the pews anymore. So I started out just as, a worship minister. That's a lot harder than it looks, not gonna lie. It takes, first of all, I think a lot of vision. So what I have found is that I have to just sit back and let God show me what He wants week to week. And sometimes it surprises me, the musicians, the songs, the arrangements, all of those things. It really surprises me what God shows me. But what I really, first and foremost do that you see the most is to stand up here. And I guess there's a lot of pressure that comes with it, because believe it or not, sometimes I do have to swallow in the middle of a song. Stop and breathe. Oh, is that going good? But that's not really what's important. We're here to worship the Lord, so I always have to kind of go, okay, we're here to praise and exalt the Lord God. So what can we do to help people do that? So I create about, with my musicians, I'd say about 20 minutes worth of music content for the services. And this involves meeting in homes, meeting in coffee shops, meeting in restaurants with the musicians. And I have to assemble, groups of musicians who play the same genre, who blend well. That's a learning process. It's been a great learning process for me. So I have my teams of people. So we've got the Pagets, they're in a rotation now. The kind of thing we did today, the contemporary Christian. Patrick and I do sort of a folksy Americana thing. But whatever I'm trying to put together, I'm really trying to think, how do these musicians and singers work together? Because it's not about me. It's about how I blend in with these groups that I'm assembling to bring praise and honor to the Lord. So I try very hard to include as many age groups as I can, as many races as I can, as many different genres as I can of music, because somebody might like bluegrass, better, and somebody else likes contemporary Christian, somebody else likes a cappella, somebody blah, blah, blah. But I just want to make sure that we're reaching everyone, across the globe, and that we're helping you worship in the way that you worship best. So that's the worship minister part. There's a little more to it than that, but in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is. Scheduling rehearsal dates, those are some things that are tricky. I have to go outside of our own membership a lot to get these groups together. Like, you're seeing people that are not part of our body, but I'm trying to bring those in too. That's a bit challenging, often challenging. Scheduling rehearsals that work well, then communicating with Dave so that he knows what he needs. Okay, we got this many people, we got this many singers. I'm doing lead on this, but Eva's doing lead on the next one, so-and-so's doing harmony. He has to have all of that information so that he then knows what kind of equipment to prepare, how to adjust volumes and things like that. And then, of course, communicating with the rest of the staff, like Kirsten. She's got to have her arrangements of these songs, because believe it or not, copyright information, she's got to approve everything. We don't do it exactly like the records do it every time, because it doesn't always work for the group. So we have to determine that, and I have to make sure that I get that to Kirsten at least 48 hours before the rehearsal, not the church service, but the rehearsal, which is, of course, determined by when everybody can actually get together. And that's about 8 people that have to line up on that. But it's a lot of fun. I feel like it's, putting together a new puzzle every week, and I really love that. And Kirsten is phenomenal at those slides that she puts together. I always marvel at that. So I'm going to move on from that. So I think that gives you a little better picture of what I'm actually doing as I'm trying to create, like I say, at least 20 minutes of music content per service. And I work about 6 weeks ahead, about a good 6 weeks ahead. Planned out through July at this point, actually. All right, and then recently when I was asked to be full-time with the church, which was March 1st, we kind of dropped the worship minister title and made it just minister. And the reason is that I've been taking on tasks that would be, I think, compatible with an associate minister or a ministry type of work. And this would be like the order of worship, getting the pieces in place, recruiting for communion, for all of those pieces, including 2 remote pieces per service. So I work very hard to communicate with members in other states and countries to bring in those pieces so that we have at least 2 pieces, because we got to make sure that we are celebrating and including members outside of this soundstage. And as that grows, like I'm reaching out to people every day, and as that grows, we'll be able to include more than 2 pieces, hopefully 3 or 4. But that I think is a very important role that I've assumed, is to put together, to recruit pieces for the service. But almost as maybe the most important thing to me is that as Patrick's travels have increased, are increasing, likely will increase, I want to make sure that I can provide a peaceful and confident presence up here to keep the flow. Want to make sure that we ensure a flow to the service. So, we exit when we should, we come back when we should, we say little things here. This is the body, this is the blood. Any of those kind of things, I want to make sure, because I got to follow. Patrick of all people. So when he's not here, I'm like, ooh, am I going to do well enough? So I it's important, I think, to me that I try to fill his shoes as well as I can in those ways when he's not here. So that, I'll make this quick. I'm not going to take all day here, but let me just turn the page. That will help me. I'm also fielding the emails through the info at Our Safe Harbor. So Patrick and I shared that account, info at Our Safe Harbor. And so some things come specifically to him, and of course he's got his own email address, so he's getting all that. But info, comes through all different kinds of questions. And if they are questions that I can answer, then I go ahead and answer those questions, and those come in very frequently. A lot of times they come in as prayer requests as well, which is wonderful, because I am the prayer minister. So that enables me immediately to connect with someone who's hurting, who needs help, and I have this system that I think is working wonderfully well. It is the prayer warrior system, and we probably have 40 prayer warriors presently, and I'm getting more requests for people to be a part of that, which is wonderful. But what I do is I connect the person in need of prayer with someone that God lays on my heart. Again, I'm not just picking randomly. I actually pray about it, and God every time says, it's going to be Mary. It's going to be Topper. Whoever it is, the connection is made, and I can't tell you how exciting it is that the person in need of prayer invariably comes back to me and says, thank you for that special connection with someone who is keeping in touch with me throughout my journey. And that prayer warrior then keeps in touch with me as well, reports to me any updates. But I also then follow up with the person in need of prayer. So I'm not just kind of leaving them out there after I make the connection. That wouldn't be very cool. So I go back to that person and say, how are you feeling about things? How are you and your prayer warrior communicating? Is everything good? What more can we do for you? And sometimes we'll send cards and things like that. So I feel really, really happy about that as well. I think this, and if you want to be a prayer warrior, or if you're in need of prayer, please hear me that we take this very seriously, and we love you very much. And the distance cannot keep us from being bonded in our hearts and our spirits and our minds. We are here with you and for you every step. So these are the basic things, and then I just kind of put administrative assistant. Really and truly, that's the least of what I do, like data entry, but it's very important because, the people who are placing membership or who want to receive the newsletter, those kinds of things, very important that I address that quickly. So as somebody writes in or calls in or whatever, I need to get them in the directory. And a growth opportunity that has come out of that is that I am starting now, like right now, to reach out to all of the members. Each person is going to get communication from me because I want to thank them for being part of the journey. I want to see what their needs are, what their interests are. What can we do to make this even more special and inclusive of your talents and your love for the Lord and things like that. So that's a growth opportunity that I think to help people feel included and special, and hopefully then also to retain people as they feel more a vibrant part of what we're doing. And then finally, of course, the order of worship, I get that drawn up. And to Kirsten, who then masterfully does the newsletter, and then we get it distributed here and stuff like that. So basically, these are the things that I'm doing. I thank you from every part of me. I thank you for embracing me in my roles here and for loving me more than anything, because I'm one of those people who never felt connected. I'm 55 years old. I never felt connected in a church before until this. Now, I used to go to church a lot to hear Patrick and to sing. But what's happened here and beyond is a beautiful gift from God. So thank you for letting me be part of it. All right. Turn it over to the very capable and beautiful Kirsten.
All right, y'all. How you doing? Doing all right. Just a little. All right. I have slides, but I'm nervous to even touch this thing. Does it work? Big button. Yep. A big button? Okay. Yes, sir. All right. I want to share with y'all some of the amazing things that I get to work on each week to get the content out during the week, as well as getting to the service. So first and foremost, I post all the videos to all our OSHC socials. That includes the Monday morning message, the midweek Bible study, as well as Moret's weekly devotionals. I do the newsletter, and that's out of order. I do monitor the viewership check-ins every single week. There is the app to watch, there is the YouTube channel to watch, and then there is the website to watch. And there's, between the live chat and comments that we get throughout the week, I will pull it into the map for the Google map that's available on our website and in our app, as well as update the slides that you guys see each week. I also do the OSHC newsletter and the Harbor Lights Almanac, which is the women's ministry newsletter that will be coming out in June, because it is quarterly. Let's see, what do I do with that? I update the directory with that as well, because people will sign up through our website. And I get to check and see where they're all from and just import that into the directory, and so they can get the newsletter each week if they choose. I do service and special event slide creation. That is probably the biggest part of my job, to be perfectly honest. You see all of the things that come up here through our announcements, through our songs, through our videos, and there's so much that goes into that. I edit the videos that come in from our OSHC membership and volunteers, and even something as silly as like what I did today with Carrie French. Believe it or not, the state flower of Oklahoma is the rose. Carrie lives in Oklahoma. I wanted to do something special for her, so I called that out for her. Same thing when I do videos for Keith. If he's in Rome, Italy, I'll try and tie something back to Rome so people can associate visually with who these people are and where they are. I launch the live stream on our website and app each Sunday, and I make sure that people are engaging in there as well. Let's see. I manage all of our copyright licenses, and that is the most technical part of my job, from the aspect of making sure we are covered. Can we do this song? Can we perform it? Will we get taken down from YouTube if we put it out there? We don't ever want that, ever. So I've taken it upon myself to manage that. I do have experience in that, having been a copyright and license coordinator for the business I work for, which is HarperCollins. And it granted me so much experience in that, and I really feel that that is such a great skill to have brought to the table, because we are online only, and we do so much music. And I love that we're able to share all of that with everyone online safely. I also manage all of our OSHC social media accounts, and there are a lot of them. We're active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Vimeo, and YouTube. It's a lot of accounts to keep up with. And let's see, what else? I do special projects and events. So what I consider a special project, I'm sure you all are familiar with the Apostles' Creed videos. That was a very special project, and I really enjoyed doing that. But it was a lot of coordination. We had over 45 people that submitted content and that were involved with that. Another special event was Hearth and Harvest. I helped Cammie coordinate that and got a lot of volunteers organized and made sure that things go smoothly there with the slides and just making sure that the event went well and went live. Okay. So that's pretty much what I do all week, just small amount of things. But I really am excited to talk about is our successes for this past year. Our current social media stats. We have over 700 people who receive the OSHC newsletter every week. We have over 165 Twitter followers, 145 Instagram followers, over 1,400 Facebook followers. Vimeo is small, but it's growing. We have 30 subscribers and over 500 views each week, this last month. And the really big one, obviously, YouTube. We have over 3,000 subscribers and almost 13,000 views of OSHC content over the last month. That is amazing. And I know numbers can be boring sometimes, but those are some really exciting numbers. And I was blown away when I was looking them up. I was just saying, go us. The OSHC app launch was a really big thing for us this year. We have over 360 active users and over 7,000 login sessions of utilizing it for either giving, viewing the live stream, or any of the content that pops up through our social media. We also launched our podcast this year, and it's not even been out, I don't think, a full year yet, right, Patrick? 3.5 months. Okay, so here's some exciting numbers for 3.5 months then. Almost 400 consistent listeners across all 4 platforms, and over 22,000 plays across all platforms. So it's doing well. The Harbor Lights Almanac launch was really exciting. We really wanted to expand our women's ministry, and I've been working with Marette, and she's working with a bunch of different women that are part of OSHC. And we have over 400 subscribers to that newsletter in less than a year. I feel like that is such a blessing and such a gift that we're being able to grow that ministry like that. But by expanding the women's ministry, we did add Marette's lessons and devotionals to the OSHC website, and I do manage her YouTube page as well as OSHC's. And we had our very first women's event this year, which was Hearth and Harvest, which is very exciting, and we hope to do it again this year. If Cammie's nodding is a good thing, so yes. But what I do want to focus on too is that Patrick did mention that we are a thin line. We are increasing our online presence, but I would like to expand our online presence, whether it's through social media engagement or just getting more viewership during the week or on Sundays. How do we do that? I mean, I think we could just, if one person just shares something about OSHC a week, we could really start to expand that and engage our audiences more. I want to increase through social media. How can we do that? Share it on Facebook, share it on Instagram. And I know one of our really big goals is to get up to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube this year. Share it. Just share. Just tell a friend. Even if they're not a friend, just tell them about it anyway. If that door is open and the opportunity is there. I want to also utilize our creative resources to the fullest potential, whether that's ProPresenter, which is all of this that you see each week, or if it's through Adobe Creative Suite. For me, I utilize InDesign, Photoshop, all of those tools. I want to learn more on how to do that, whether it's for editing videos or just being more creative. We can always expand that. And I've started a new tool like Canva. That's a great tool that helped me create all of those Apostles' Creed videos. And the biggest one is I really want to increase our volunteer base. We have 2 amazing outside volunteers, one who does our podcasting for us, and we now have somebody who is QCing, quality checking, all of Patrick's content before it goes live. That is a huge, huge take on, to sit there and watch every single video that gets posted. And he's ahead. He's doing months and months ahead. And we have somebody who's sitting there and watching and making sure that everything is good, making sure we have audio, making sure we have picture. And we also need another Gail. Gail is my rock. She is my absolute wonderful friend. And I couldn't do my job without her. She is here every rehearsal. She is making sure everything looks great. And we need more of her. I cannot clone her. That technology is not available yet. But the most I can do is I can thank her and show my appreciation and how important she is to our team. But all that to say is that we need you. Are you creative? Can you follow basic instructions? I bring crayons for Patrick. He's doing very well with that. But I just really want to see our volunteer base grow. And we're getting there, but we really need you guys. And I think that's about all that I can share right now. My brain's going a mile a minute at this point. So if I've forgotten something, I'm sure I can put it in a newsletter. I create those. So, but without further ado, I want to bring Greg Grant up to the stage to chat about stuff at the sound stage. Thank y'all.
Brief and unscripted. Well, I simply want to say I'm thrilled to have everybody here. This is no light thing to say, but to have people in your house at least twice a week. We have a rehearsal night every week, and then these things every Sunday morning. I feel like Mary and I are in our sweet spot.
We love it.
We really do. Really do. I don't daydream telling you the absolute truth. I don't daydream, well, maybe 5 years from now, we'll have moved into a building, or maybe, no, this is a house church, and this is perfect. And if it's like this 12 years from now.
We love you.
Yeah. If it's like this 12 years from
Come
now.
back.
17 years from now, praise God. The house was built, designed exactly. I designed this house exactly for this, you know? We have a room directly above us that has comfortably seated 35 to 40 people for years before this basement just wasn't far enough along. You know what I mean? It's empty every Sunday and everything else. We have a theater Dave and I are working on that I couldn't do without Dave.
It's plans for more meetings here.
Well, anyway, it'll seat 18 people. So if we're going to premiere some Christian films, there's some great episodes of I think it's called The Chosen on television, things like that. But I feel like we're in our sweet spot. We don't feel overstrained on the house. We have an unbelievable set of volunteers that are in the kitchen right this second. So Mary doesn't have to be. We do like to host, we have a lot of out-of-state visitors, thank you, our friends sitting at the table there, that like to come and see us. Almost every week there's out-of-state visitors, and probably about every month on average, Mary and I are hosting a couple here that spend the night. Oftentimes in room number 5, we love that too. It's kind of like a lodge.
We like guests.
We really do. And we can't charge for that. We are zoned with Williamson County and Brentwood.
We wouldn't want to charge.
We wouldn't. These are good interactions. That's why I brought her up here. But we can't charge for that. We don't want to charge for that. So, but it's a delight.
We like people.
It's a delight to serve people. Patrick, why did I ask her to come up here with me? You have to be very careful to bring Cammie up with you, because it would be dangerous. No, but it's, I have to say, it's absolutely thrilling for both of us. We do other things here, but very, very cautiously and on a very small scale. There was a graduation party here yesterday, okay? There'll be some of us just watching, some friends watching a film tonight here. But we on schedule, we don't have anything planned up till September, October. We don't even know when there'll be another group coming in here.
This is the most important thing.
This is the most important every week. So we're pretty cautious about other groups. There have been other people want to do things in here. They want to film videos in here. They want to come in and do music type things here. We're pretty cautious. We don't just let everybody in the world come in the house.
We may need a calendar at some point.
She's right about that. The calendar wouldn't be a bad idea. I do want to encourage a couple things that let's keep doing. The shuttle service is a great system. We really do appreciate our shuttle drivers immensely.
Yes.
It's working really, really well, the shuttle driving system. I would encourage us, once you're dropped right in front of the house, we move all of our socializing inside. It's nicer climate inside. And while you're waiting on the shuttle, try to keep that inside as well. We're trying to make what you see out front of the house not look like a cluster of a dozen people or 15 people waiting on a car to show up. It makes it too obvious, but it's a less presence.
But it's a free country.
Yes. So we're trying to encourage a lot of that socializing. We're trying to keep it mostly in the house. Okay? I don't think, I want to keep short. Is there anything else that's coming to your mind?
Nope.
Everybody keep doing what you're doing. We absolutely love it.
All right, well, it's been exciting, hasn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the technical part first. All right, so AV update, what I did is back in August of 2021, I gave you kind of an update during a giving portion of the service. And then this will be an update since then. The first thing is that we went from PowerPoint. We had PowerPoint, that's what we were using from the beginning, to advanced slides, which PowerPoint has its place, but ProPresenter is much better for what we're doing. It's also a lot better, a lot of people that are bigger churches, other operations, they'll use ProPresenter. So we went to ProPresenter. That was pretty uneventful, but it did require a learning process for everybody that was involved. We went to an audio-video recording device, and the reason we did that is because we were 100% dependent on the stream. And if you remember, one Sunday morning, we lost the stream, and I interrupted the service, and we started over. And we really ended up losing a lot of the service because we had an internet issue. And so what we have since done is we've got a recording device that records everything before it goes to the stream. So if we were to lose the stream for some reason, then we would still have a recording of it. It would unfortunately not be able to go out live, but afterwards we would be able to upload it so that people that are watching it after the fact, it would be there for them. We had a hardware encoder, all right, and the encoder is what allows us to actually go out to the internet. And what we did is we started out with a free software. It's called OBS. We wanted something of better quality, so we went with a Teradac hardware encoder. But the Teradac was very sensitive to what's called jitter and latency on the internet. And so what we do is we would lose contact with the server, and the stream would just go down. So what we found was this streaming service called Resi, and what they do is they provide, we can purchase a hardware encoder from them, and then they've got what's called a resilient protocol, which gives like a 90-second to a 2-minute buffer. So I could go upstairs while we're in the middle of the service, I could pull the internet for, let's say, 90 seconds, plug it back in, and the people at home would never know we had an issue. So that's what we've gone to. I wish I had wood up here, but we haven't had any issues since we've gone with Resi, and we hope that we won't. All right, we did add a second computer. We've had some issues with video a time or two, and all people that are dependent on computers generally have a backup computer. So we've added a laptop computer to be a backup for the iMac. And what basically that person does is they sit up there and hit both buttons at the same time. And so if we did have an issue where we lost, the main computer, what we would then do is we would do a quick change, a couple quick changes of the buttons in the sound booth, and then people wouldn't even really know, other than just a brief interruption, that there was a change. So that's why we did that. Internet service, I talked about that. What we've done is we've gone from a residential Comcast internet service, we went to Comcast Business. The speed isn't really any different because Comcast is still on copper here, but what it is we have an enterprise grade or a commercial grade router modem. And what that does is it allows us to be more reliable. Also, if we have an issue and we call, then Comcast will respond a lot quicker than they would if we were just residential. So that's good. And then, as has been mentioned, Patrick mentioned, Kirsten's mentioned, Misha's mentioned, we need more resources, and we are adding, we had somebody that was up there in the sound booth with me, very capable. He's no longer with us, but now we've got somebody else running cameras. Craig is learning to use a soundboard with me, so we're adding some depth there. We recognize that just adding computers is a good thing, but we need somebody to run it if one of us isn't here. So we're trying not to be dependent on any one person, and that's what our goal is. So I'm going to transition to what you all come here for, and that is the financial discussion. No? Are you awake? Yes, right, a spreadsheet. Dan can appreciate that. So what I'm going to show you right here is not expecting you to look at all the numbers and digest all the numbers. All this is just showing you that we have a budget. This budget was established in February. I took over the bookkeeping, accounting responsibilities in late December. There was a lot of focus on getting, tax documents out. So that's what I was focusing on, getting that done. So I didn't generate a budget until February. So what I'm going to do is the next slide actually will show an average monthly, so it's a little easier to look at, and then a total. And then I'll walk down through each one of these items. And the first thing is we call it revenue, but that's our contribution. So that's the money coming in from contributions. And what we do is that this is the budget, remember. We're budgeting that we bring in $45,000 a month, all right? The next line down below that are expenditures. So that's everything going out, all right? So charitable contributions out. And so if we've got Graceworks, we've got One Gen Away, we've got Flint Global, and then there's other people that just have needs that come along. And so that would be the money going out, and we budget $2,000 a month. And the reason these numbers are a little different than what I'm saying on the average is because January was an actual month, and but if you look at what we budget $2,000 a month for charitable contributions going out. And then dues and subscriptions, those are all those fees that we pay to be able to actually use, the CCLI or ProPresenter or Resi. There's all these fees that we have to pay to be able to use that software. So that's what that is. And then guest speaking fees, that's a combination of two things. The first is, that would be if we have somebody that comes in and speaks for Patrick, like Devin did not too long ago. They have to come to our location, they have to prepare, so we pay for that service. And then also when we have musicians, guest musicians here, we pay them as well. So that's what that is, and we budget $800 a month for guest speaking. And that's something that we've been going over on. But that's what we budgeted. And then insurance, that's a combination of medical insurance, and then it's also insurance that we have for replacement cost of items that are in this building that we purchased if there was a fire, liability insurance. We've got an office. I'll talk about that in a second. So we've got renter's insurance there as well as contents insurance. So that's what that insurance line is. Legal and professional fees, that's mainly the CPA, the Certified Public Accountant. That's a little bit elevated. We're probably not going to have to pay her as much as what we're budgeting, but we're budgeting $1,200 a month for that. I'm doing a lot of that. And then office rent, for 14 months or so, we had a free office. And the good news is that his business improved. The bad news is we had to get out of that office, so we had to go find our own office. So now we found an office after a lot of investigation. We found a place off of Cool Springs and Mission Court, and we're paying $1,000 a month for that, and it's a 2-room office. Patrick spends a lot of time there. I spend some time there, and then we have our staff meetings and other meetings we'll have there. That's just a good place to meet. Then office supplies, I hate to say it as a catch-all, but whether it's toilet paper, paper towels, coffee, paper, if we're going to buy a meal, this meal today would normally go into office supplies. So that's what that office supplies is. And then staff compensation, I'm sure you already have noticed that that's the biggest item there. There are 4 employees, all right? There's 3 full-time employees. Patrick, Misha, and myself are all full-time, and then Kirsten is part-time. So that's what that is. And then technology, that is if we're going to be buying a microphone, buying a piece of hardware, cable, camera, those kind of things, that's what that is. It's also AV rental, if we have AV rental. And then utilities, mostly what that is internet, whether it's here or whether it's at the office. We have Comcast Business at both locations. So that's what that is. There's a little bit of electricity that we pay at the office. So our total expenditures are right at $39,000. And so you take $39,000 and you take that from the 45, and then you take away that depreciation of $500, then what that leaves is about $5,500 a month. That what we would like to be able to do with that is put that towards our reserves, or spend it on something else that was unbudgeted. If there's somebody that's in need, that's what that $5,500 is there for. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about our contribution. And I know there's a lot of jump up and down. That's all your fault, mostly. But what I'll talk about is that the red line is, that's hard to see from here. Hopefully you can see it. But the red line is the actual, and then the red line is the budget, and then the green line is the actual. And the red line, what we used to do is we used to look at it where if we had 4 Sundays in a month, we would budget a little bit lower. If we had 5 Sundays in a month, we budget a little bit higher. Well, what we figured out was pretty much a lot of people are not consistent with their giving, or they give on a monthly basis. All right, so it didn't matter whether it was 4 or 5 Sundays in a month. So then I believe it was in October, we then went to just a straight line budget. And then when I established when the budget was established in February, we then went to, again, a little bit higher budget of $45,000 straight line. Now, what I did when I established the $45,000 budget for giving, what I did was I went back and looked at 8 months. So you see 8 months that are on there, including February, because I had a pretty good idea of what February was going to be. So we took the average of 8 months. It came in about $48,000. You see that one big peak. There was one contribution of over $20,000. And what we did is we pulled that back out, and we ended up, if you take that out, then we end up about $45,000. So, but the unfortunate news is, as soon as we established the budget, if you look at March and April, we are below budget. We're in that $38,000 to $39,000 a month. The good news is that if you remember, our expenditures were $39,000. So as long as we don't go too far, much lower than that, then we should be okay as far as not going in the hole, as far as having to pull from reserves. So one thing I will mention is Amazon Smile. You've seen it on the slides. Hopefully everybody's familiar with it. Hopefully everybody's using it, but I know you're not, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Because, when Kirsten was talking about the over 3,000 YouTube members, and we talked about the 1,400 Facebook and this, what would you guess we've got as far as contributors on Amazon Smile? Remember, 3,000 of this, 1,400 of this. Just throw out a number. What do you think we've got as far as contributors to Amazon Smile? 42? 20. Okay. You are probably more pessimistic than I am, because I figured if we had 3,000, surely we could get 700, right? Well, we've got 73. 73 givers is all that's been involved. That 73 givers in the first quarter, we ended up with $114. And nobody did anything other than went and signed up for Amazon Smile. So that's all they did, and we got $114. So if we went from 73 contributors to 700 contributors, then we could multiply that times 10, hopefully, and then we would be up closer to $1,000 every 3 months, $300 a month. So just if you would, if you don't know how to do it, if you're not sure you're doing it right, ask myself, ask Kirsten, ask maybe Patrick, somebody. Let's make sure that you're in there, because you're really, all I do is I log in every time I make a purchase, and it automatically gets a benefit to Amazon Smile. So that would help bump that number up slightly. Now, what you may be then asking is, all right, so this is what our contribution is. How are we doing as far as the budget, year to date? So what I'm showing here is January, February, March, and then April, and then I'm just giving April budget as a comparison. And what all the numbers on all the categories on the left, your left, yes, are the same as what we saw before. And so if you want to just look at the net revenue, January we did well, $8,500, and then nearly $12,000 in February. March, even though our giving was down, we had a refund. If you notice that total technology, we had a refund of fairly significant amount of equipment rental, which isn't something that happens all the time. So what ended up happening is that we still showed a good month in March, and then in April, we almost just basically broke even. So that's where we are, is at 387. And so we are managing the expenses. And, Eric, had a plea earlier about, see what we can do. We understand that it's tough right now with gas prices and, inflation. So we understand it's difficult, but what we are asking is that if you can give, then we would appreciate you giving. So what I was supposed to say earlier was that I was supposed to ask you to hold your questions till the end. I'm going to turn this over to Ron, and then if we've got questions at the end, then we'll come back up and answer those. So don't clap, Brett. Do not clap. So.
Well, okay. I don't know, a lot of you are like Joy and I. We've been in Patrick's audience for, I guess, a good number of years. And it's kind of a privilege to be able to come up here and talk about the keys that have brought us from, I think, point zero when we were on a back porch trying to imagine what this could be someday. And I'm kind of a writer and an editor, and when Patrick learned that, he said, well, then good, you can come up and kind of finalize the discussion Sunday afternoon. And I said, well, thank you. But the other thing I want to say while I'm thinking about it is Sunday's coming again. And I think you've heard from some talented people that we're going to have a successful Sunday next Sunday and the Sunday after because of what they do. Just a small thing, besides Misha being a graduate of Alabama, Dave is a degreed engineer. He has managed plants in technical environments. How lucky are we to have somebody like Dave that can pick up any project and make sure and make sure Sunday is coming. And one thing that I try to spend some time doing is thinking about, not about next Sunday, but about next year and the year after and maybe the year after that. And that's why what I'm talking about today or trying to share with you are thoughts about our capability and how we build capability and the kind of things that we're working on to make sure that this is going to be a really, continue to be a really good place, a compelling choice for people all across the world. And I know from day one, watching Patrick, he is very intentional about tapping into a diverse source of information, advice, and people and talent, so that he builds content that is very attractive and compelling to a diverse audience across the world. And that is a huge capability that we have. And so as we think about these key drivers, the first one that comes to mind, and this is a little something that I've kind of preached in different companies I've been, in organizations I've been attached to, is that our employees and talent here have to come first in our process. That doesn't mean they're the most important, but they're first. We got to take care of people that are delivering the message, building the content. We got to take, if we don't take care of people, then we address the audience possibly with the wrong energy, the wrong spirit, and we're just not giving the audience everything. So talent comes first so our audience can receive our best. And if we get lucky, what happens in the end? Maybe our safe harbor gets a few more rewards that we turn around and share back with the good works that we're involved in. I'm not going to spend time on the technical quality. Dave's covered that quite well, but that is a close second. As good as Patrick is, if we're not really sharp in what people bring up, if it's not easy for people all across the U.S., which is the 99%, then we're not all we can be. The third thing that's important, and I think has gotten us from point A to today, is compliance. And it's a little bit of a shout out for my friend Doug and Mary Alice and Jean Ann. These are people that look at things differently. They have a legal, fresh mind. And I know when I look at something, I might come up with a different answer. I know when I was at Bridgestone, every time something went to the legal department, it was always, we can't do that. At least we couldn't do it the way I wanted to do it. But anyhow, I think with having people help us with the compliance, that is a key driver. Without a 501c3, people can't deduct what they provide for our safe harbor. So that's an important thing. And if we do those three things, the financial support will come. We don't start with money. We don't start talking about money. We talk about things that we do first, and the money will come out of that from the way we earned it. So I guess the middle part of this, opportunities and challenges, you've heard some of them. And Patrick sometimes will counsel me and say, I didn't come through a business orientation. He says, are you talking barnacles and buoys? What are you talking about here? The barnacles can drag you down, the buoys can lift you up. They're both opportunities and challenges. So some of these we may have covered. We start with the talent, and I know the numbers, having four employees, you lose one, you lose a quarter of the workforce. So we have to be intentional. We don't need to lose anybody. I mean, how would this place look, Greg, if we got a now hiring sign in the front yard? Anyhow, so zero surprises. I think Patrick mentioned that you know, we really need to work hard and find ways to have backup for our talent. I know without Kirsten and without Misha and on down the line, we just don't need those kind of surprises. We talked about building viewership. That's important. To me, there's a relationship between subscribers and viewers and givers and Dave's numbers. And there's something in those numbers that's special for a church, and that is our ability and capability to help other people. So we can do the thing with individuals and go around, and once a week we've been asked, can we connect somebody, some family? And maybe we would at some point we have a connection card that we can use to make it easy. So we can go by individuals, or what I try to do with people, it's the bolt-on concept. You know, people all across the U.S. may have a church they go to, but why not bolt us on? If you like what happens on Mondays and Sundays and Wednesdays, that's worth something. People will bolt that on. And I think we'll be rewarded, and we can turn around and reward others if that happens. The other way is house and home churches. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about some videos that we're thinking about. So in a virtual church, it's very technical. Speed, agility, and having a radar looking out as to what's coming. Because I have a feeling that as churches are consolidating, maybe folding, people are looking for online kinds of information. So in the future, we'll be competing with other people trying to do similar things. So having people like Dave and Kirsten and others, making sure that we have not the cheapest equipment here, but the best equipment. And we don't worry about Patrick. He's got the best of content, and content's number one. I think we're going to be fine, but we can't lose sight of the fact that this is a technical environment. I can't bring the old brick and mortar thinking to this and think that's going to work in every way, every day. So we do, it's kind of called foyer talk or information, because in a church like this, we don't have the opportunity, or the people out there don't have the opportunity to do what we did when we were at a brick and mortar church every Sunday, the foyer talk. Now that sounds interesting, but strategically what can happen with foyer talk or something like that is somebody can line those up and take a look at where are the people, what are they saying, what's compelling. And just maybe when Patrick's on his way to Ohio State or the state of Washington or Chicago, there just may be some stops along the way where we could build a house church, or at least say hello to a family member that is in that community. Home church category, simply let's just figure out how to go there. Our demographic here is there's a lot of gray-haired folks, and they like vacations and travel and trips, and I think there's a way we can help with that project if it becomes a category. Thanks, Dave, for the Amazon smile. Every box that shows up on our doorstep, I feel somewhat good about. But there's another huge category that I think we're going to figure out how to get into, and I call it legacy giving. I know Gwen taught us in one of her presentations that it's very important to be intentional and budget what you're doing each week. Don't give out of your leftovers. Well, with legacy giving, you can give out of your leftovers. Because at the end of life, people are looking sometimes for an easy way to help the causes that they care about. And so I think if we can make that easy for people, I think that could be another nice line item on the chart. And I say, if we do all the things that we've talked about here today and do it right, it's what I call keeping the spigots on, the dollar spigots. We say it's not about the money, but at the end of the day, it's about helping people, which requires some level of financial intelligence and budgeting and support. Policies for compliance, who cares? Well, we do. We found out the IRS does. We went to get insurance, and they do. And maybe lawyers. I don't know. I would let others speak to that. But so we've developed some policies. Benevolence is important. And why is it important? We want to be fair, consistent, and we want to not set precedents that we can't live up to. There's just a lot of reasons. So we look pretty professional in that area. And now we have an application for employment, even. We call it an application for involvement so that we can use it and not have to have a bunch of paper for everything going on here. But people that are going to be involved will fill out an application, and we can be consistent with that and protect ourselves in ways that we don't want to talk about. So the last one is about preventing and addressing various kinds of misconduct. And that is something that professional organizations always have something for future things that might happen. We don't come up with it when there's an issue. We come up with it yesterday so that if there is an issue, we know how to prevent it and we know how to address it. And with that, I think we'll turn it to Patrick, and any questions, we can get on with that part. Thank you.
All right, and the only change I would make there is on that content. We got to put Misha's name beside mine because she produces so much content every single service. But yes, thank you, Ron. Thank you, everyone. As I said earlier, we didn't get any questions across the transom, as we used to say back in the day. We know that we've run an hour and we want to tighten this up the best we can, but we want to answer any questions from the room that you might have. And those of you who are watching this later, don't post your questions so much online unless you want it just to be there. You can send it directly to info@oursafeharbor.com or directly to me at patrick@oursafeharbor.com. So that way you don't have to be out in the open. You can ask whatever question you want. All right. Anything in the room? Aye, JC.
This is not a question, but a suggestion. Based on Kristen's presentation, in terms of getting more people involved, I think you might consider during one of the broadcast sessions to have her deliver an abbreviated but global data.
Okay.
And encourage people to speak, because I think that's the only way it's going to.
Understood. And I'm going to.
Repeat the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done this. JC is saying that some of the information needs to be repeated in a way that is global. Now, posting it is going to take care of some of that. But I think rather than having Kirsten step up to the mic in a format like this, that we could talk her into making a 5-minute video that we could paste in. Kirsten, you have no idea how much Adderall and Xanax it took to get her up here in front. I'm sure those drugs weren't involved, but I didn't really ask the doctor. She doesn't like, as soon as you started talking, her head started doing this. So, but I think we could probably. We do not, we cannot lose her. This is, you see, this is one of those things where this, I think we can talk about making a video plea, but for this is what we're looking for, this is what we need. Just be aware that when you throw things out there, sometimes they come back, and people who may not be qualified, or we've even run across people who don't believe in God but would like a paycheck, and you're going, there may be other places for you. So just be aware that we sometimes have to say no. And here's we have to have a need. We have to have a volunteer, and they have to be skilled in that need. And then they have to fit with the team. They have to be able to gel with the team. So that's going to be a problem. But I understand, I hear you, and I think we can address that. Any other from the room? Hi, yes.
I'm just curious, is there any opportunity or desire to monetize some internet content? Appropriate services and products?
The question came, is there any opportunity or any interest in monetizing the internet content? I have, as Cammie will tell you, I have fought that for probably 30 years. I've spoken with, just to name drop, people like Rick Atchley, but especially people like Jeff Walling and others who everything that they put out there, and they have every right, because this is their hard work. They're paid for. And I just have never liked that. I've always felt like whatever the church gives me. In fact, whenever I go speak somewhere, I never know when or if I'm going to be paid. And it doesn't make financial sense. No, not at all. Period. I get to retire 5 weeks after I die. But I feel such gratitude to God for what He gave me, knowing who I am, that I really can't put a paywall there. And so there are times I do come back and I have lost money and you don't know about it. There are other times I come back and there is no paycheck. And people assume there's a paycheck. The only big paychecks are from when the government asked me to come up. They say, come up to Chicago and we'll give you this much. No church does that. And hospitals don't either. I was not paid for what happened last week, and I worked those days. I think I will be, maybe, eventually. I have no idea what it will be, because that's the state of Ohio. I love Ohioans, but why? Anyway. Their pay system is weird. So Cammie and I are doing all right. We're middle-class people, and we're living a middle-class life. Did you have a...
I just want to clarify, he was talking about monetizing in the sense of YouTube and the ads.
Oh, ads. Thank you. That does help. I've heard that some ads pop up already, and we're not getting anything. That's YouTube's ability to pay for its own product?
Essentially, yes. So what monetizing is allowing ads to play. The only downside of that, we don't get to pick what they are.
Yeah. There is the opportunity to earn some money, but we don't get to choose what the ads they run. I watch a ton of YouTube, and I get fed up with Progressive Insurance and others, and I hover until it turns skip. And I'm able to hit it. Would that bring in money? Yes, there are people that make good living, but very few. There are people who make good living on YouTube. But you would have to be, the ads could be about sexually explicit medications, situations, political action groups that you may not approve of. And we don't want to do anything that blocks Jesus. I mean, that's so important to me, that we keep the Jesus line open. Yes?
Is there any way for us to, churches that can't afford a minister, can't afford their building, is there any way for us to monetize you being put up above there as a minister that day?
And I appreciate that. Right. The question is, with the loss of ministers, and if you don't know this, Churches went insane during COVID, and a lot of them fired their ministers. Others lost so many members once they realized they were free to go, and they did not have connections. Rather, Mish's prayer warriors, whenever you leave a church you've been to for 20 years and nobody ever reaches to you, like I said, during a 2-year period when I was still a part of that church, I was supposed to get a call once a week to make sure that the seniors are doing all right. We got one call. And then you realize, we're not connected. So churches drumped. So some churches I know are using my videos. In fact, I was told by a Baptist church recently that they dumped Joyce Myers and they're using mine now. So, Joyce, I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to up your game. That was new to me. Could we charge them? I don't know of any system that we could. So what we're doing actually is we're looking at you and saying, if you're using these, your pennies would be useful. If you're using these to save money while keeping a building afloat, we think that you should probably join and help us. But if it ever came between, if we can't pay him, we're not going to be able to use them anymore. No, use the videos. Let's just throw bread on the water. It looks like you're wasting money. Jesus said, throw bread on the water. It'll come back to you. Any others? I have been asked about what happens when Patrick retires. And the answer is, I don't want to, because I do, this is what I do. It's not just what I do, it's who I am. It's what I think about. It's what I read. It's what I work at. I don't want to stop. Health can happen. Age can happen. I get all of that. We don't have replacements in line yet. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how you do that. But I have built up an awful lot of good friends who are ministers, male and female, who I think would do a lovely job. Would they do it my way? No, they're going to do it their way. But in my opinion, the church is not supposed to be locked down in any particular way. It's supposed to change and morph. And so I assume my grandkids will go to churches that will do things that would make me go, what? And I'm cool with that, because that just means the Holy Spirit's not retired. I am 65. I will wait for you to finish your stunned, shocking. I know, I'm youthful, tall, a bronzed God figure, but at 65, I'm aware clocks are ticking, but God has given me still a good mind, still the ability to think and work, and I plan to work till Jesus comes, either to the planet or to me personally. Anything else? Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Not a question, it's just an idea that I had as you were speaking about the other ministers. Could there be an opportunity to have some co-ministering services that then introduce the body to this other person? It's kind of like we work well together. And then when that person comes alone, for whatever reason, the body's accustomed to seeing.
I think that's, the question is to help with that concept of people coming up behind me when that time comes. Could we bring them in and do a co-minister, co-preaching? I love co-preaching. I used to do a ton of it before I moved to Tennessee. And about once a month, I would have somebody up from the congregation preaching with me. I think my favorite time is still preaching with, we had an Irish friend in Colorado, and he stepped up. We were going to co-preach, and I thought we did great, mind. My wife says that after the first 5 minutes, we were unintelligible because we started playing off of each other, and we forgot where we were. All right, son. Yeah, and we had a grand time, I'll tell you. Anyway, we had a great service. I am, and I have asked people to come. Please understand, when you ask people to come, you are taking them from their church. Money does have to be involved. Time has to be involved. And some people who I think would be very interested and quite capable, they don't want their churches to know, because we are not a standard member of any particular tribe. We are Jesus people, and they'll get in trouble. So there are so many factors. right? So many factors at play. But we are looking at that. Any other questions? Are we good? I want to tell you that it has been the best year and a half of our ministry life. No question. We have loved this from day one, where not only did we just start with you and I and a guitar, we had my iPhone on a tripod. That was our tech. And that night, a huge storm came through and knocked YouTube off of, I'm going, if you don't want us to do this, give us a sign. But God took it, and he took our loaves and fishes. And I do believe that this is going to go do more stuff that we don't know. But I want to thank you, because you're the ones who believed when I did not. And I was thinking, right, well, there's academia, there's other places I can go, and this has been a happy time. I love my job. That's why I don't take days off too, because what else are you going to do? It's this fun. Right? Brother Topper, would you give us a prayer out and close our day? Topper's one of those, and you've seen several here that had just carried us across the line, got us started. We have steps over there, make it a wee bit easier. And again, thank you, Dave, for that. And Dave's my right-hand man, and without Dave and Misha and Kirsten, yeah.
I have to say this has been the best 2.5 year and a half of carols in my life ever. I'm 15 years up on Patrick, and I just love this. This has just been so wonderful. So thank you all for making it special for all of us. Dear God, we thank you so much for our safe harbor, for those that work so hard to make it what it is. We ask you especially for your continued guidance and help in bringing us wherever you want us to be. And we thank you for all you've done for us. Please dismiss this group. Help us to have a good week and a safe week. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.